Today, we're cracking open the private journal of a man who faced, well, unimaginable chaos. We're talking war, plague, betrayal, and somehow found a way to not just survive, but to lead. He was the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and his personal writings became this timeless guide for mastering life's storms. But let's start with a question. Just imagine, for a second, that you're in charge, and everything that can possibly go wrong does. War, a pandemic, betrayal, natural disasters, all at once. How do you not just get through it, but actually lead people through it? This wasn't some thought experiment for Marcus. A historian who actually lived through it, Cassius Dio, he put it pretty bluntly. He said, "Our history now descends from a kingdom of gold to one of iron and rust." That's the world Marcus was living in. So let's step into that kingdom of rust for a minute and really see what he was up against. See, Marcus Aurelius came to power with this massive reputation for wisdom. He was the last of what we call the five good emperors, and people literally saw him as Plato's dream come true, a true philosopher with the power of a king. But his reign was about to put that ideal to the ultimate test. And this timeline, wow, it really drives home the kind of pressure he was under. I mean, from the moment he takes the throne, it is just one thing after another. A flood and famine hit Rome, a war breaks out in the east, then a devastating plague starts that ends up killing millions. All of this is happening while he's fighting these brutal wars on the northern frontier and, to top it all off, facing a rebellion from one of his most trusted generals. It was just a relentless, nonstop storm. So, in the face of all this, what did he do? How did he cope? Well, he turned to a kind of secret weapon, something he never, ever intended for anyone else to see, his private journal. So the real question is, how did this journal work? What was it about writing to himself in the middle of all that chaos that gave him such a powerful anchor? We now call this journal the Meditations. And the most important thing to get about it is that this was not a book for an audience. These were raw, private notes to himself, part philosophical diary, part a series of mental exercises just to keep his own mind straight in the face of all that stress. And what's so fascinating is this contrast. In his public life, he was the emperor, the general, waging wars and trying to hold a massive empire together. But in private, in the pages of this journal, he was waging an inner battle. He was focused entirely on self-examination and just preserving his own character. But this wasn't just random journaling, just venting his frustrations. It was all built on a powerful philosophy that gave him a practical toolkit. You could almost call it an operating system for his mind. That philosophy was Stoicism, and I love how the author Tim Ferriss describes it. He says Stoicism isn't some dusty academic thing. It's an operating system for thriving in high-stress environments. And for Marcus, it was the code that helped him process all that chaos. So what does this operating system actually look like when you use it? In his journal, Marcus comes back again and again to three core principles. Let's break them down. The first one, and probably the most famous, comes from another Stoic philosopher named Epictetus, a former slave whose teachings had a huge impact on Marcus. And it's this incredibly simple but profound idea. Some things are up to us, and others are not. So the whole exercise is to separate what you can actually control, your own thoughts, your judgments, your actions, from what you can't, which, let's be honest, is almost everything else. The plague, the wars, the betrayal, he couldn't control any of that. The goal is to stop wasting energy on all those external things and focus only on your response to them. And that leads right into the second practice. In his journal, Marcus wrote this incredible line to himself. He said, "This is not misfortune, but to bear it well is good fortune." It's like he completely reframed adversity. The bad event itself isn't the real story. The real opportunity, the good fortune, is the chance to respond to it with courage and with character. And the key idea here is that for a Stoic, the inner goal, building your virtue, your character, that is the only true measure of a successful life. All the external stuff, like wealth, reputation, even winning a battle, that's all secondary. True success is preserving your own moral compass no matter what. All right, the final practice is this amazing mental exercise. He called it the view from above. Marcus would literally imagine looking down on his own life and his own struggles, even the war he was fighting, from this high cosmic perspective. He'd see his problems in the context of all of human history and the vastness of the universe. And from up there, their emotional power just shrinks.
So, why does this private journal, scribbled on a battlefield almost 2,000 years ago, still matter so much to us today? Well, let's see how this ancient wisdom connects right to our modern world.
Its legacy is just immense. That core Stoic idea that it's not events, but our beliefs about events that cause our suffering, that is the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, one of the most effective forms of modern psychotherapy. And it's still a trusted guide for modern leaders and a practical daily tool for countless people just trying to build resilience. So, in the end, what started as a deeply personal set of notes, just one man's way of coaching himself through hell, became this universal guide to finding clarity, purpose, and even peace right in the middle of the storm. Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Looking at your own life, with all of its own pressures and uncertainties, what's the one challenge you're facing where this ancient wisdom, focusing on what you control, on your character, and on the bigger picture, could actually help you right now?